Outdoor YouTubers Lewis and Ash from the channel Brothers Wild shared this encounter after Ash and his friend Rich went camping in Bersham Woods near the old ironworks ruins on February 24th, 2024. As they sat down, they suddenly heard a loud scream.
Let me just get my other torch on, Rich. What was that? Oh my god! Did you hear that? You heard that, right? Did you hear that?
Yeah,
that was loud. I'm trying not to freak out now.
What's that?
That sounds like screaming and
moaning, yeah.
And I hear a humming. I hear a humming. That is spooky, Rich. That's really, really spooky, mate.
It's very deep in the woods now, isn't it?
Hang on. It sounds like about 20, 30 people.
You're miles away from the... What's... It's a long walk to get here, isn't it? A long quiet lane.
What is that?
They followed the sound. It kept going. Then they spotted lights near a waterfall.
It sounds like something bloody satanic. Shh, just be quiet, Rich. Be quiet a minute, mate. What the hell is it? I see lights. Shh, be quiet. What the hell's going on down here? There's people below this bridge. What the hell is this? Be quiet, be quiet, be quiet, yeah? Don't get seen. Don't get seen, don't get seen. Some sort of ritual things going on right now. They got people in the waterfall naked. They're all fucking naked.
According to Ash, they saw a group of around 20 people standing in the freezing water, chanting, screaming, and moving together as if taking part in some kind of ritual.
That was scary, right? That was not normal, right? That was not normal for this place. They are screaming and chanting in the background and they're swimming. You can hear them now. It sounds so demonic.
Right.
It's too late too cold to be doing that. It sounds so demonic what they're doing. I don't know what they're doing. I don't know if they're real. I don't know if they were ghosts. I don't know if this camera's picked it up. I need to look back at the footage. I'm getting so excited and so nervous at the same time.
Not wanting to be seen, they quietly backed away and returned to camp. By morning, they left without ever finding out who the group was or what they were doing. A photo was reportedly taken somewhere in the Appalachian Mountains. Standing alone in a forest clearing was a lone person, surrounded by what appeared to be several wolves. Some people believe the figure could be connected to local legends about feral people living deep in the mountains, but I'm not so sure about its authenticity. It looks a little too much like a scene from The Jungle Book to me. The lighting and positioning make it feel almost edited, but I might be wrong. What do you think? A cyclist was riding along a narrow mountain trail carved into the side of a steep cliff when a simple mistake nearly turned fatal. As he carefully made his way across the path, his helmet camera recorded a terrifying moment. Within seconds, the bike slipped over the edge. The entire incident happened in just a few seconds, leaving almost no time to react. Had he lost his balance along with the bike, the outcome could have been very different. On October 11, 2025, Utah father Micah Smith took his 3 young children, aged 8, 4, and 2, on what was supposed to be a family hike up Broad Fork Twin Peaks. According to investigators, Smith told the children they were going on either a 9-mile or 9-hour hike. The trail, however, is considered extremely difficult, even for experienced hikers. As the family climbed higher, they eventually reached a section where they had to scramble over rocks and grab onto bushes for support. Then the weather suddenly changed. Dark clouds rolled in, followed by rain, hail, and eventually snow. According to court documents, Smith's 8-year-old daughter repeatedly told her father she was scared and wanted to turn back. Prosecutors say he refused, telling her, "This is a once-in-a-lifetime thing." When she later said she was still frightened, he allegedly replied, "You shall not pass." Meanwhile, Smith's wife, who wasn't on the hike, became increasingly concerned. At 5:18 p.m., Smith texted her saying the 4-year-old was exhausted, everyone was beginning to fail, it had started raining, and he was struggling to carry the 2-year-old. She immediately replied, "You better leave, it's gonna get dark." Minutes later, he sent another photo showing the children surrounded by snow-covered rocks. According to prosecutors, the family continued higher before attempting to descend around 6 p.m. During the hike back down, Smith told investigators his 2-year-old son fell, struck his head, and appeared dazed. Unable to continue, the family took shelter beneath a large boulder, using only a few sticks as a windbreak while temperatures continued to drop. A video later recovered from Smith's phone captured one of the children asking, "Are we going to freeze to death, Daddy?" According to Smith's account, the 2-year-old later became unconscious and stopped breathing, prompting him to perform CPR until the child began breathing again. Later that night, he said, the 4-year-old also became extremely cold, stopped responding, and struggled to breathe. Smith told investigators he performed CPR on him as well, before teaching his 8-year-old daughter how to continue CPR while he left to try to hike back down the mountain for help. Search and rescue teams located the family the following morning. According to rescuers, the children had very little clothing, and the 2-year-old was lying underneath the 4-year-old for warmth. The 4-year-old was found mostly exposed, unconscious, and with no detectable pulse. Rescuers performed 25 minutes of CPR while transporting him to hospital. His core body temperature had dropped to just 62.6 degrees Fahrenheit or 17 degrees Celsius. He later suffered a stroke and required emergency surgery. Search and rescue personnel also reported that Smith appeared to be behaving unusually and initially told them that one of his children had died.
It met by search crews, where he told them his child was dead.
Miraculously, all 3 children survived. Weeks later, prosecutors charged Smith with 3 counts of child torture and 3 counts of aggravated child abuse, alleging that he knowingly ignored repeated warning signs and exposed his children to life-threatening conditions. Smith has denied criminal wrongdoing, and the case remains before the courts. It's a heartbreaking case that continues to raise difficult questions about what happened on that mountain, and whether it was a tragic series of decisions or something far more serious. Facebook user Matthew checked his trail camera one morning, and one photo immediately caught his attention. The black and white image, taken late at night, appeared to show a car driving across an open field with a man visible behind the wheel. According to Matthew, the vehicle had entered a remote area near his property where there was no public road, leaving him wondering why someone would be driving there in the middle of the night. Some people believe the location and timing made the situation highly suspicious, speculating that the driver may have been looking for an isolated place to do something illegal. Unfortunately, Matthew never shared an update revealing who the driver was or what they were doing there. Whatever the explanation, one thing is certain. The driver probably had no idea a hidden trail camera had captured them that night. A man was travelling along the mountainous roads near Likabali in Arunachal Pradesh, India, when heavy rainfall suddenly triggered a massive landslide. As tons of rocks, mud and debris came crashing down the mountainside, the man began recording. The footage captured another person caught directly in the landslide's path, with seemingly nowhere to escape. The person filming and others nearby could do little more than watch and shout as the hillside collapsed. The video ends before revealing what happened to him, leaving many viewers fearing the worst. Fortunately, it was later confirmed that the man survived the incident, and no other injuries or fatalities were reported. A person was travelling through a quiet stretch of woodland when they noticed something they couldn't explain. After returning home safely, they shared the photo online. Near the centre of the image, a tall, dark figure appeared to be standing alone among the reeds and fallen logs. The shape looked upright, with broad shoulders and a heavy build that didn't immediately resemble anything obvious. Because of the distance and the image quality, it was impossible to make out any facial features or finer details. Without more context, there's no way to know what was actually photographed. But at first glance, it definitely doesn't look like just a normal person or animal, right? What do you think it was? On February 4th, 2025, outdoor YouTuber Walter Zollner was hiking the Appalachian Trail near Mincy Overlook in Pennsylvania. While filming, Walter kept hearing movement in the brush behind him.
I want to get a little bit further up the trail, get some distance from the overlook before I put the camera down and talk to you about what just happened up there. Not the kind of thing you want to have happen on a beautiful day on a hike like this. Downright creepy stuff.
He assumed it was an animal moving through the dry leaves, but when he looked closer, he spotted what he first thought was a bear. Instead, it was a man dressed entirely in black, standing motionless in a tree overlooking the trail. Walter also noticed the smell of smoke and heard faint music coming from the same direction, making the encounter feel even creepier.
Alright guys, now I'm sitting here at the Mincy South Overlook, about a quarter mile past the main overlook, which should have been the highlight of this whole hike. But I want to tell you what happened there because I wanted to get a little bit of distance from there. So when I got to the overlook there, I kept thinking that I heard like an animal, like moving around in the brush, a little bit up the hill, a little bit behind me, not too far. I thought it was a small animal because in the wintertime, a small animal like a squirrel or a rabbit can sound large when it's going through the leaves. But I didn't think too much of it because the view was really beautiful. And I went into that lower area. Then I went up a little bit further and I kept hearing it. And then I looked and I saw something dark and black. And I thought, oh, that could be a bear. That would be cool, you know. Weird to be seeing a bear in the daytime in early February, but the weather's been kind of weird. That would be awesome. And I'm looking and I start hearing like this music, like really like low bass, kind of like rhythmic, kind of creepy music. And I'm looking and there's this guy and he's like standing in a tree, all dressed in black, like this. Okay, this was creepy as shit. Okay, I'm telling you this. I'm not making this up. Now I'm in the middle of filming my video. I got really unnerved by this, but I kept taking my couple of pictures. I didn't stay there as long as I wanted to, but I never like kept them. You know, I kept my eyes in the back of my head, if you know what I'm saying. I kept an eye look on them. Now, I always carry this with me. It's just a 4-inch, you know, basic buck knife. It's got a sharp blade. I don't ever want to have to use anything like this, but I definitely was keeping it ready. What do you do when you come across a really, really creepy person out in the woods? It's a good question. It's a tough question. First of all, trust your instincts, trust your judgment. If you get a bad vibe from someone, then trust that vibe. Try to get away from them. Try to know where they are and try to move away. Now maybe he was just a kid, like a weird kid, and that's his spot. It's kind of a weird spot because it's one of the most popular places on the trail. The fact that he was just like sitting up in that tree and wasn't moving, and he was also smoking something. I could smell it. It had like a cherry flavor. I don't know if it was marijuana or tobacco or vape. But that's one of the creepiest things I've ever come across on a trail. Now, here's the problem. I got to go back through there again to get back to my car. I don't know if he's still going to be there or not. In a way, I hope he is still there so I know where he's at so I can just go past there and move along. But as the day's getting later here, a lot more people are going to start coming up the trail and coming to that overlook. That's the point of doing this hike. But if I was a young woman by myself, I would have been downright scared. I wouldn't even have stayed there for a second. I probably would have turned around because I got major hair on my neck, bad vibes from that guy. And I could be wrong, but I'd rather be safe than sorry. And that's what you should be thinking too. Like, better be safe than sorry, and carry some kind of protection. If you're a woman hiking alone, carry pepper spray, bear spray. If you have a license to carry firearm, carry a firearm. You can carry in Pennsylvania. I don't know if you can carry in a national recreation area because this is technically federal land, but in most Pennsylvania, like state forests, I think. I'm not sure about state parks and campgrounds, maybe out on the trail, but carry some kind of weapon that you're comfortable with to protect yourself, and hopefully you'll never have to use it. And look, 99.9%, I'm going to turn around here, I'm going to walk past that spot, I'm going to stop and take another look at the overlook, and I'm going to be fine. But that was just really creepy, and I wanted to get distance away from that person. Whatever they were doing, it wasn't normal, and I had to share that with you.
Rather than investigate, he quickly put distance between himself and the overlook, keeping an eye on the man as he left. He later described it as one of the creepiest experiences he ever had on a trail. What were that man's intentions? A group of hikers were making their way up the Santiaguito volcano in Guatemala when their adventure suddenly turned into a fight to get off the mountain. Without warning, the volcano erupted. The footage captured a massive plume of ash and volcanic material blasting high into the sky as the hikers immediately turned around and rushed downhill to escape. Santiaguito isn't just an active volcano, it's considered one of the most active volcanoes in the world, with frequent eruptions occurring throughout the year. Despite that, guided hikes are still offered during periods when activity is considered relatively safe, although eruptions can happen with little warning. Fortunately, everyone in the group made it off the mountain safely. Would you ever hike an active volcano knowing something like this could happen? A routine patrol in Bulgaria's Pirin National Park led to an unbelievable discovery. While inspecting remote camping areas, park rangers came across a tent hidden deep inside a restricted part of the park, far from hiking trails and nearby campsites. Curious who could be living in such an isolated location, they approached the man inside and asked him to identify himself. Instead, he became aggressive. Police were called to the scene, but when officers arrived, they discovered the man wasn't carrying any identification. As they worked to confirm his identity, they made a shocking discovery. The man had been reported missing 17 years earlier. He had disappeared in 2008, and after years without a single trace, authorities had legally declared him dead in 2013. Somehow, he had been living alone in one of the most remote parts of the national park, hidden away from hiking trails, campsites, and nearby communities. Officials are still trying to determine how he managed to remain undetected for nearly 2 decades. And perhaps the biggest mystery of all, why did he choose to disappear in the first place? A woman and a group of friends were exploring the outdoors at night in Peru when they suddenly noticed something watching them from high up in a large tree. At first, all they could see was a pair of glowing eyes staring down through the darkness. Whatever it was remained almost completely hidden among the branches, making it impossible to identify. According to the group, it also made a strange sound, one that didn't resemble the call of a bird, a monkey, or any other animal they recognized. Unsure of what they were looking at, they kept their distance and continued filming. Fortunately, whatever was in the tree never climbed down or approached them. To this day, the group still says they don't know what was watching them that night. On June 18, 2026, members of the Blazing Trails hiking group gathered for what was supposed to be a routine evening hike through the St. James's area of Barbados. As the group made its way along the trail, 3 experienced members stayed behind at the rear to make sure no one was left behind. That's when the hike suddenly took a terrifying turn. 3 masked men emerged and confronted them. According to police, one of the suspects pointed what appeared to be a firearm while demanding the hikers hand over their bicycles. Fearing for their lives, the hikers complied before running through nearby bushland to escape. During the encounter, one of the victims was struck, but fortunately none of the hikers suffered serious injuries. Police launched an investigation soon afterward as the suspects fled with the stolen bicycles. During a hike through the mountains, a man noticed something unusual moving in the distance. He quickly pulled out his phone and started recording. The footage appeared to show a mysterious humanoid figure walking across a hillside while a strange glowing light floated beside it. As expected, many viewers believed it had captured a cryptid, or something that wasn't entirely human. However, after doing some investigating, I traced the clip back to its original source in India, where it was first shared in May 2021. The original footage reportedly showed 2 women walking through the valley. Before going viral, the video had been heavily edited. It was mirrored, the colors were altered, dramatic sound effects were added, and the women were made to look like a single mysterious creature accompanied by a glowing orb. It's a good reminder that not every viral creature video is what it first appears to be. Had you seen this clip before knowing the real story? In April 2026, 25-year-old Julian Hernandez was mountain biking with a family member near Quail Hill in Irvine, California. During the ride, Julian stopped to wait. As he tried to unclip one of his cycling shoes from the pedals, he reportedly lost his balance and fell off the trail into nearby brush. Hidden in the vegetation was a rattlesnake. It bit Julian on the leg. Emergency crews quickly arrived, treated him at the scene, and rushed him to the hospital. What initially appeared to be a serious but survivable snake bite soon became far more complicated. Julian remained hospitalized for more than a month before tragically passing away. His family later raised concerns about the medical care he received, although authorities stated there is no criminal investigation related to the case. Officials described the incident as extremely rare. Irvine had not recorded a rattlesnake bite in at least a decade, and experts say the vast majority of victims survive with prompt medical treatment. Many rattlesnake bites don't even inject venom. But in Julian's case, the outcome was tragically different. What began as an ordinary bike ride with family ended in a tragedy that few could have imagined. During a hike through the mountains, UV Parjapti suddenly began hearing strange noises coming from somewhere nearby. Unsure where they were coming from, he started looking around. Moments later, he noticed something unusual standing beneath a tree in the distance. It appeared to be a pale human-like figure. He immediately began recording. As the video continued, the figure seemed to shift its position while repeatedly making low, growling sounds.
Look like this.
The unsettling behavior was enough to convince UV not to investigate any further. Instead, he slowly backed away. This footage takes us to Medoc Mountain State Park, just outside Littleton, North Carolina. The area has long been associated with alleged Bigfoot sightings, and the town even has its own Bigfoot museum. Whether you believe those stories or not, they certainly make the following footage more interesting. A motion-activated trail camera had been recording wildlife in the park for days when it captured something unexpected in August of last year. A tall humanoid figure calmly walked through the frame, not once, but twice. Unfortunately, condensation had fogged the camera lens, leaving the footage too blurry to reveal any clear details. Even so, many viewers focused on the figure's apparent height and unusual stride, saying it resembled descriptions often associated with Bigfoot. Others argued the fogged lens and lack of depth made it impossible to judge the figure accurately, suggesting it could have been nothing more than an ordinary hiker whose appearance was distorted by the conditions. Whatever triggered the trail camera that day, it continues to divide opinions. A hiker was hiking in the Appalachian Mountains at night when he started live streaming. That's when viewers began pointing out the thick fog surrounding the trail, saying the howls and mist matched descriptions from Appalachian folklore about the mysterious smoke wolf. According to the legend, the large wolf-like creature is often linked to a strange mist that appears before it's seen. The hiker never claimed to witness anything unusual and simply shared his adventure.
¿Qué pasa si les agarra la noche en el sendero de los Apalaches, las 11 de la noche, y que empiece a caer una neblina así densa que no ven nada?
Was it just an ordinary hike through a foggy forest, or did the camera unknowingly capture this smoke wolf? And then there's another very important question. Why would you hike the Appalachian Mountains at night by yourself? A trail camera captured what first looked like an ordinary group of deer feeding near a home. But on the left side, something appeared that didn't seem normal. It looked like a deer, but its neck appeared unusually long and distorted compared to the others. Even more interesting, the nearby deer seemed to shift their attention toward it as it approached. Some people believe the clip shows what's known in Appalachian folklore as a knot deer, a creature said to imitate a normal deer until you notice something isn't quite right. Others argue it's simply an ordinary deer caught at an unusual angle. What do you see? 68-year-old John Nelson, an experienced hiker and retired doctor, set out on a camping trip in Oregon's Mount Jefferson wilderness with a longtime hiking partner of more than 40 years. After spending the night at Russell Lake, John left camp alone the following morning, planning to return a short time later. But he never came back. Concerned, a family friend reported him overdue, triggering a large search involving more than 100 search and rescue volunteers and multiple agencies. Days later, search crews finally located John alive in a deep drainage near the South Brighton Bush Trail, nearly 5 miles from his campsite. The area had remained closed since the devastating 2020 wildfires, leaving the landscape covered in burned timber and massive fallen trees that made travel extremely difficult. Because of both the rugged terrain and John's condition, he was unable to hike back out on his own. Rescue volunteers stayed with him throughout the night until an Oregon Army National Guard Black Hawk helicopter safely airlifted him to safety the following morning. After a medical evaluation, John was able to return home to his family. A camper was enjoying a trip in a remote wooded area, until one afternoon he witnessed something he says he'll never forget. He suddenly spotted a large figure moving through the brush. Shocked, he quickly pulled out his camera and started recording. The figure appeared broad-shouldered, slightly hunched, and stood out as a dark silhouette against the surrounding trees. The footage was soon shared online, with many claiming it showed yet another alleged Bigfoot sighting. However, not everyone was convinced. Some argued the figure's body proportions looked more human than expected, while others pointed out that the fur appeared unusually uniform, leading them to believe it could simply have been someone wearing a costume. YouTuber Brian from the channel BKXC was mountain biking through a remote trail in Tibet. As he and his friend rounded a narrow section of the trail, they came face to face with this.
Looking a little...
It wasn't someone in a creepy costume. It was a massive yak. While yaks are usually calm, they can become extremely dangerous if they feel threatened. Fortunately, the animal backed away instead of charging. This trail camera photo was shared by Facebook user Cindy. The image, captured late at night, appeared to show a tall, dark figure standing beside a tree. Unfortunately, the figure was heavily blurred, possibly because it moved just as the trail camera was triggered, making it impossible to identify with any certainty. As expected, the photo quickly divided opinions. Some people believed it was nothing more than a raccoon or porcupine caught from an unusual angle. Others suggested it could have been a larger animal that briefly stood upright. And of course, a few were convinced it was Bigfoot. Unfortunately, Cindy never shared any follow-up photos or videos, leaving only this single blurry image behind. Without any additional evidence, what really walked past the camera that night remains anyone's guess. A person was camping in the mountains when he saw an unknown object hovering above the forest. Unlike the smooth metallic shapes often linked to UFO reports, this object appeared irregular. Whatever was hovering above those trees, it remained just clear enough to be noticed, but never clear enough to be identified. In July 2026, an experienced Italian couple, David Ciceroni and Chiara Pisaresi, set out on a multi-day trek through the breathtaking Friulian Dolomites. After spending the night at a mountain hut, they continued along what they believed was the correct route back. But somewhere along the way, they accidentally left the marked trail and followed an abandoned path that had been closed for nearly 20 years. The route led them into steep, rocky terrain at an elevation of around 1,700 meters, surrounded by dense vegetation and an unpassable ravine. Completely exhausted and unable to climb back out safely, the couple made a difficult decision. Instead of risking a fatal fall, they stayed where they were and hoped rescuers would eventually find them. Their phones eventually died, and after they failed to return home, David's mother reported them missing, triggering a massive search involving mountain rescue teams, police, firefighters, and helicopters. For 5 nights, the couple remained stranded without food. They built a small shelter beneath a tree using branches and pine boughs, slept on leaves, survived on a handful of wild berries, and drank water from a nearby mountain stream. They later revealed that before finding the stream, they had even resorted to drinking their own urine out of desperation. On the 6th morning, an alpine rescue helicopter finally spotted them hidden among the trees and airlifted them to safety. Although both were dehydrated and physically exhausted, neither had suffered life-threatening injuries. The couple later said the stream became their lifeline, providing the water that kept them alive and giving them the strength to keep hoping rescuers would find them. A man named Peter Kane claimed to own preserved Bigfoot body parts that were supposedly obtained by his father decades ago. In one of his most recent videos, he displayed what appeared to be a giant Bigfoot foot. But many people quickly pointed out that Peter is widely known for creating highly realistic sculptures and props of fictional creatures, including Bigfoot, goblins, and other cryptids. Many believe his work is intended more for entertainment than as scientific evidence. I also don't think Bigfoot would be that big. A man was taking a short break while working in a field when something moving through the fog suddenly caught his attention. Just beyond his tractor, a distant figure appeared to be running across the field at an unusually fast pace. Unsure of what he was seeing, he pulled out his phone and started recording. As the figure continued moving toward the tractor, its shape remained difficult to make out through the fog. Hoping someone else could explain what he had witnessed, he later shared the footage online. With the footage ending before the figure came any closer, nobody has been able to say for certain what was actually moving through the field that day. 2 years ago, Mikhail Anthony was filming the night sky in the Pocono Mountains of Pennsylvania when he noticed a strange light in the distance. The object appeared to hover while slowly moving up and down. Mikhail believed he was looking at a UFO. Some thought the object appeared to be spinning, while others suggested it could have been a spotlight, a laser, or even a reflective balloon seen from a distance. A few commenters even claimed they had witnessed similar unexplained lights in the same region, but with only a distant light visible against the night sky, it was impossible to determine exactly what had been recorded. Now, let's watch some more forest encounters.